Hmm. Forgot to hit the button. Good morning, everybody. Hey, welcome to episode 50. This should be an exciting episode, I guess, because it's episode 50. I do want to, it might be a shorter episode than normal. I kind of threw this in a little last minute. It's because potential guests for this week, some of that's being wrapped up. But if those come to be, it really wasn't going to be a good day unless I did a bunch of back to backs in regards to doing the live shows and yeah. So Saturday I kind of decided I want to do this Monday morning, especially since the finals are today for the World Grand Prix. Good morning, Scott Carter. Good morning, Juanita. And so I figured we would talk about what's been happening. We have a debutante that was an alternate. So we have an alternate who's a debutante who's in the finals, which to me is an exciting thing. And he's playing like the best darts, really some of the best darts in the tournament. If you talk to him, he'll tell you he's not, but that just seems to be the Dutch way. Yes, Chris, finals, man. I'm excited for it today. I'm excited to see Gerwin, getting into a final. Particularly this one. This is not a tournament he normally does well at. This is a different format. If you're not familiar with the Grand Prix, how the format is, it's a double in, double out. So you have to hit a double to start scoring. And that challenges a lot of darts players because that's not the typical norm. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to be talking about some soft tip. I'm going to show you guys a couple of websites you can go to find some soft tip, at least like pro situations or leagues here in America, North America. Just because I know that we haven't talked a whole lot about that. And it is a question that comes up. And I never want to downplay the soft tip. It's a different game. You have to have a different mindset when playing that game versus steel tip. And because of the PDC and just the notoriety that particularly has, and with the Worlds being canceled this year, so there is a league that is more in Asian League, the Worlds, which is massive. When you look at the numbers compared to the PDC, I would say that the Worlds probably has way more numbers of people that go to tournaments and fans than the PDC. Just that Asian culture, that piece of that. Good morning, Will. So I wanted to talk a little bit about soft tip and where you can find it here in the U.S. I will say that soft tip seems to live on the East Coast. On the West Coast, steel tip seems to be a little bit more dominant as far as places to play in tournaments. There's not as much a soft tip tournament level over on my side of the country, and that might be one of the reasons I talk more about steel tip, because that's the world I play in. So good afternoon. It's morning here. Gotta have some coffee. I mean, it's 7 a.m. morning here. So I want to talk a little bit about that. But I do also, it's our 50th episode. So I want to give away some stuff. Tell you guys that we do have some cool, exciting people coming to the show. Tony with Condor Darts is going to be Wednesday morning, 7:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Tony's going to come on. He's a player here in North America, and he's a representative for Condor Darts. Good morning, Lucas. And so we're going to be talking about Condor Darts, and these are if you've been watching on the PDC, especially in this tournament, you've seen Kim Hybrex has those neon green flights, and Devin Peterson with his white flight. You've seen these stem flight combinations that a number of PDC players and, of course, a lot of other players in the soft tip world play with. That's the Condor Axe, which are these. I've started playing with them, and this is it's a fun flight shaft combination. I'm really enjoying throwing it. There's a difference to it. It has a different lift when you go to throw it. It definitely, the dart flies slightly different. So it takes a good 20, 30 throws to kind of feel it through and understand the lift and the trajectory that you're going to get from the dart. But once you do that, I will point blank, dead honest, I started playing with a set of them that Tony had sent me. That I did the review, which was the updated axe review a couple weeks ago, because they updated their formula. They were breaking really easy when they first released them. But I have hit in the last 2 weeks 9 180s steel tip, and I don't shoot for 180s a lot on soft tip. I do it, like Dylan and I are playing. He'll say, "Hey, go for 180," or I'll just do it to piss him off. Be honest, and I think I've hit in 5 or 6 180s in the last couple of weeks on the soft tip and the steel. My groupings are just super way tighter. And I'm attributing it to the flight shaft combination there. So Scottish lad, he's counting down till the darts, which I got a countdown going over on this other computer, which is where we watch it. So I'm excited about that. But so anyway, Tony's going to be on. I've been speaking with Darren Young. We've actually scheduled it a couple of times, but due to either tournament play or other things in his life, which of course he's been dealing with some vertigo issues. We've kind of had to push that off, kind of hoping that might come together this week. And there are a couple other people, the group from Loxley. So if you're not familiar with Loxley Darts, check them out. Matt, I don't have his darts here. Matt Edgar, who does Edgar TV on YouTube. I just finished the review of his barrel. I know that some others have done it. I kind of waited. I always find it interesting when all the guys doing the reviews, I'll put up the same review, the same thing. So if I don't get to it first, I normally will push back a week or two, just so that you guys get tired of watching them and you'll watch mine. I'm honest. So I just finishing that up. I've done my cut edits on it, and then my editor is doing some of the flash pieces. So it should be up, I think, Wednesday. But he's one of their darts player. Hey, princess. Okay, we've got a wave from the princess. And then I just blanked on some of their other players. But they've got a number of pro players that are playing for them, and they are they've got a number of barrels out. So look for Loxley. They're one of their guys is going to be on, and we're going to talk about what it's like being a new manufacturer in the world, how you do that. So some good information there. So those are some of the upcoming things. Some of that should be happening this week. For sure, I've got the Wednesday covered. So Wednesday morning, come back and learn more about Condor. We're going to learn more about Trinidad, because Trinidad Darts and Condor are brother-sister companies, cousin-uncle companies. I'm not sure how that all works. So we'll learn more about that then. So let's dive in and let's talk a little bit about what's coming up in a few hours. Hopefully you guys are excited about this. And that is the Boylan Sports World Grand Prix Final, where we've got a debutante who was an alternate in Derek Van de, and let me see if I can get this right, Van de Vandebode. Hopefully I said that correctly. Who's an interesting guy. I've been watching his interviews, especially the one yesterday. It's like he took a page out of MVG's book, because of course, they're both from the same country. But the attitude of the question comes out, do you feel like you're playing well? And he's like, no, I'm not playing as good as I can. That whole methodology of downplaying that, hey, you know what? I just beat Simon Whitlock, who literally was playing the best out of the tournament. He had just crushed MVG, my country mate, 3-zip the day before. And I trounced on Simon Whitlock. I mean, there wasn't even a game there. It's like Simon was in another world. But I've seen that from Simon. I've seen that from that happens with, I think, a number of players. Definitely happens with Peter Wright, where they'll have this incredible match and they'll just crush it. And the next match, it's like it all went out the window. Went off the boil. Let's just get the comments correct, right? And that's kind of what happened with Simon. Simon looked tough. He'd been looking good all tournament. And then maybe it's just because it was MVG, and his record against MVG is something like Well, he just beat him. He beat him. I think that's the first time he beat him twice in a row. From meetings when they met on TV. But I think like his record is something like 7 or 8 to 30 something. I mean, MVG normally has Whitlock's number all day long. I think MVG sees that and goes, cha-ching, like we got that win. It's kind of like the Chiefs yesterday. They looked at and they had Las Vegas Raiders and they were like, we're going to win that. It's at home. Like, do we even need to show up? And they lost, which I'm a little heartbroken about. Yeah, we should not have lost that game. I'm a little disappointed in the Chiefs losing that one. I mean, if you're going to lose, it's fine. Just don't lose to the Raiders. Okay, not at home. All right, back to darts. My apologies. But yeah, Simon. I like the idea that this kid, he's 28, he's a kid that basically out of nowhere comes in and is playing incredible darts and crushing like really good darts players, you know, world championships, world champions. He beat a number of great darts players, comes up against Simon Whitlock and just runs over him. I mean, that wasn't even, it was fun to watch, but it was like, wow. And I loved his expression as he got to the end there. Like he knew he had this. And so he was that emotion. If you guys go back and watch that, if you haven't watched it, he was like giddy. He was kind of dancing around there. And good for him. Good for him for doing that. I don't think it threw Simon off. I think Simon knew. Simon had already said, I'm done. And Derek I liked that last game in the match where you could see he knew he had that one. Just great. Really enjoyed that. And then, of course, there's the Simon Whitlock, or not Simon Whitlock. I'm sorry, Dave Chizzy and Gerwin Price. That was a great match. And of course, Chizzy's been the I don't know. It's like he's got 20 million lives or something like that. I don't know what the deal is. He's come back from utter defeat all throughout this tournament and been able to pull a cat out of the hat and rabbit out of the hat. That's the true saying, but whatever. And win this stuff. And he almost did it with Gerwin. I mean, it was a great match. I think Gerwin was really the dominant player. I think everybody's really been a dominant player when it comes to Chizzy. He's just been able to step it up when he needed it. Yes, Randy, it wasn't too fun for the Wizard. This is true. He looked out of sorts most of that match. He definitely dive in boat. Thank you, Scottish Lad. I don't know. My pronunciations are always a little bit fun, right? So yes, and I'm sorry, I'm going through comments now. I know I started off talking about that, and then I see comments, and I gotta read them. Yeah, Will. Derek was getting a little pissed at Simon's slow play, and he talked about that in his interview afterwards. That he didn't understand why Simon was trying to set him off by doing the slow play. I mean, Simon, who typically is he's not a fast player, but he's not a slow player, and I think he threw himself off far more than Derek. He was upsetting his own game because he wasn't playing his game. So, good morning, Niels. So, yeah, Simon looked extremely rattled. Randy mentions that here. I guess I can do this stuff here. Here, look, I can post things. Woo! Yes. So Derek mentioned this in his interview. He's supposed to be at work today. He works in a farm, and he's like, I got to call my boss and let him know I'm not going to be like. I'm like, your boss knows you're not going to be at work because he's watching the tournament, man. It's awesome. He's like, hey, I'll be at work on Tuesday. I'll be back at work on Tuesday. But he does get to this gets him into other tournaments. It's going to be interesting. Yes, Will. It will be interesting to see how these two mesh. And Scottish Lad said he's looking forward to it. It's going to be interesting because you have really two different personalities here. It's going to be interesting how this happens. But let's talk a little bit about Price and his journey to the finals. He pretty much just played his game. He's never been to the final in this. I will say that this format doesn't typically fit Price. If you go back to the past times that he's played this particular tournament, it's never been his thing. He's always, ejected out of the tournament early, than his game shows. But this year, he's been able to put together some really nice runs, hold it together, and his double ends have been pretty decent there. There's a stat I had here. I was going to try and find it real quick. So talk amongst yourselves through chat while I look this up real quick. Excuse me, can't find it. It actually had the stats of these two guys, and it was pretty interesting stat here. Here we go. So here's the interesting stats going into the final between the two. So we have Derek and Gerwin. Legs won versus lost. For Derek, it was 41-25. That's pretty outstanding. 41-25, considering the people that he played, to get to the final. 41-25. For Gerwin, it was 39-30. That's like a 50, just 51%. I mean, it's not huge. And then doubles in percentage-wise. For Derek, it was 46.5. So, and for Gerwin, it was 41, which is above his typical average for that. But Derek's got the edge coming into that. Doubles out, Derek's at 41 and Gerwin's at 38. So again, Derek, on paper, this should be a pretty easy match for him, for Derek, over Gerwin. And then our 180s, Derek had 17 to Gerwin's 20, and then our average. And this is where things get a little go Gerwin's way. Derek's average is 87 and Gerwin's average is 91 throughout the tournament. And this is where when you hear Derek talk about, I should have lost to Simon, because he says that. He's like, I expected to lose, depending on whether it was Michael or Simon. He was like, I expect to lose, because and Simon, like, his average at the point was like over 100 for the tournament. So he, being that far behind where Simon was, he expected to kind of lose, and Simon, of course, threw it away. But looking at those stats, you would have to say Derek should be the favorite. Of course, Gerwin's the favorite because of his ranking in the PDC, and of course, the number of tournaments he's played, and he's been in finals. So there is all of that weighs into it. And so, of course, Gerwin is heavily favored to win this. But when you look at the numbers, Derek, based on his ins and outs, and I mean, their 180s are pretty close. The averages are close, but that 4-point spread is in an average is it's not huge to overcome, be very honest, but that can weigh in someone's mind to look at like, hey, I'm at 87 for the tournament. This guy's in the 90s, depending on one bad match versus a bunch of good matches, that could play a little. But I think the Dutchman's, I think Gerwin wins. I'm going to tell you guys right now, I think Gerwin wins this. I don't see him faltering and not winning this. But at the same time, I think Derek has as good a chances as anybody to beat Gerwin based on those numbers. And just looking at his play, when he needed the heavy hitting numbers, he was putting them up. When he needed the 140s and he needed the 180s, he went for it and he got it. So I'm excited to see that. By the way, he is either going to walk away with 50,000 pounds, which my guess is, working at a farm, is probably what he makes in a year, or maybe more. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't work on a farm over in Europe at all. So, but that's a sizable paycheck. If he wins, it's 110 pounds. I can almost guarantee you that's more than what he makes a year, or he probably wouldn't be playing darts. That's a reasonable paycheck right there. It also puts him into other tournaments, so we'll get to see more of him. I like his bravado. I like his attitude. He's got the calmness that you think. I don't know, Dutch people, to me, they're much calmer, but he still has that fire, and I just like his personality. I'd love to see him and Michael play together. So hoping to see that. So interesting to see how Gerwin, even though there's no fans there, if you guys have been watching, players are still getting themselves in the mood by the roars, the fist pumps, the yells, the screams. And there's not the fandom there for it, but they're still doing that. Of course, Gerwin's doing that. I'm wondering how that will offset and Gerwin's pace of play. Gerwin is pretty quick. I mean, you're walking off the Aki and he's releasing darts, as we know, because he took part of, like, Peter Wright used to have a full head of hair until last year's finals for World Championship. If you guys didn't know that, he had a full head of hair. I mean, this is just new this year. And that was because Gerwin kept taking pieces of hair off as he was throwing the darts, while Peter was literally still had a foot on the Aki. So, or the riser for the Aki. So just saying. Oh, look, Mrs. Hi. That's Mrs. Atomic right there. She's saying hi. She can't do the water thing because our big water jug that we have, the big water jug that we have is empty. It went empty this morning, so she can't run the motor and get anything. So luckily we have a water delivery coming, I think today or tomorrow. And we're not out of water. It's just we have this special drinking water that my wife loves, and it sits in the garage in a 55-gallon barrel. It's a stainless steel barrel that we had to get, and it's Palomar mountain water. And so anyway, that's what that noise is, so you guys know. So Scottish Lad says, great deal on darts corner just now as well, guys. The cold Harrow's spin of darts is, yeah. So just thought we would, there's all this kind of great darting stuff. You can pick up some darts. Scottish Lad's helping us out with that. Ben says that he believes he's part-timer, so he makes somewhere around 25 to 35,000 pounds. So yeah, even coming in second is going to be a nice payday for him. Plus the additional tournaments that he'll get in where he'll make money, whether he goes out first round or not. So this is a huge thing. And if he wins, he'll have a TV major to lean on, 110,000 pounds. It'll be interesting to see what he does with that. I've always played with this in my head because that's just me. But like, what if you had that opportunity and you won something like that? What would you do? Like, my wife and I will play the lottery occasionally, and we'll spend it and talk about it. It's kind of fun. We used to do it quite a bit more, and we haven't done it lately. And I think we need to go buy a ticket and assume what we'll do with the winnings. And I always wonder that, like, hey, like, say I could be, like Larry Butler and actually have the opportunity to win a PDC major. How would that change my life, and what would I do with it? Speaking of which, I hope to have Larry on the channel here soon and talk about those things. If you didn't know, he's the only U.S. player to have won a PDC major, and that was many years ago, but still love to have that conversation. Sorry, Scott, you got to go to work meeting. I too have to do that today. Work, it's so horrible. But I always ask myself that, like, what if I won? And I wonder what he's thinking right now. Like, Derek's like, if I win this, how does that change his life? It's just always one of those interesting, fun questions to ask. Kerwin does some stupid stuff like that. Yeah. So Lucas is just going to ask you over under for Gerwin. Does some stupid stuff like that again. So that's the interesting thing when it comes to Gerwin Price in a final is he, will he stumble over himself which is his typical situation in the past. This year, he's been, very icy, very Iceman like of him. And I was thinking Top Gun, the Iceman, that reference, but he's been playing pretty steadily. And you guys, you have to remember, Gerwin, 6 years ago was playing rugby. Even 2 years ago, he was doing picking up some rugby matches. He was getting paid because he was doing okay in darts, but money's money. And he had gone back and was playing a little bit of rugby, and getting paid for it. So you look at where he's come in the time frame. As much as people have picked on him about some things, dude can play darts. I mean, there's no getting around that. The guy can throw the dart. He's got great hand-eye coordination, and he just hasn't been in the darts as far as competitive world. I'm sure he's been playing darts his whole life, but from a competitive standpoint, like it's just not. He's new. he's new to the sport, and he's ranked third right now. And within the next year, the way MVG is faltering, you could seriously see either Gerwin Price or Peter Wright as the new number one and number two. MVG could, and I haven't done the math, I don't think he can fall to third, but he can fall to second, and within about a 2-year period, based on his winnings and numbers and when they calculate all that, he could literally fall into third, fourth, fifth place if he keeps at the pace that he's going right now. It's possible, and then he could roar back. He could just turn it back on, which does happen. So I don't want MVG to leave the sport. I know he's always talked about it. I would be saddened because I like his bravado. I like his interviews. They're comical. And so I don't want to see him leave. And it's when he's on and he's having fun with you, it's kind of fun to watch. I like to watch the other players squirm a little, but there's no squirming anymore. I don't think anybody's afraid of MVG anymore. I don't think anybody's worried about playing him at this point in time. I don't think anybody is worried about anybody. When you look at the PDC draws, I don't think anybody looks at a particular player and goes, oh my gosh, it's him. I think in most cases, everybody's like, look, I can beat you. And that's kind of fun. It's kind of fun. Yes, the PDC home tour is on. So you can watch the PDC home tour, which is an interesting thing. And speaking of that, that is a great I'm going to switch over to this one because this looks interesting. Well, I used to say own a golf store here in Michigan in my area, but now since I am with you, I would say if I won the Mega Millions, I'd say a chance to co-host with you on Atomic Darts. Lucas, if you want to come hang out on Atomic Darts, DM me. Like, that's the best part of this for me in my mind. I want to bring anybody and everybody from a darts perspective on. There's a gentleman, Bullseyes and Brewskis. And I think he's a little frustrated with me because I haven't talked to him much about soft tip. So we're going to dive into some soft tip here because he's a soft tip player. But I'd really like to have him on. Lucas, hey, if you want to come hang out, hey, Terry, if you want to come hang out on the show and we'll do an interview and we'll talk about what you do in darts and your thoughts on darts and do this, I'm totally down for it. I have thought about trying to do something where I have 4, 5, 6 people on, just different people that watch the show and that are in darts. The problem is too many voices. I keep doing this with work and it just doesn't seem to work well with work when we get a bunch of people on because everybody wants to say something. But Lucas, DM me. I'm totally up to that. I think that would be a ton of fun. Just to have you jump on the show with me. I've had Will on. I've had a couple other people on. I'm trying to get Scottish Lad to do it at some point. I think he's going to come join me. Niels, we've kind of chatted about it, Niels, but I'd love to have you on next week if you want to slide into a spot, and we'll talk YouTube darts. And of course, you're on the other side of the pond, so darts is much more of a thing there. Here, it's not. I mean, it's still a thing, but it's not. It's it's not baseball. It's not NFL football. It's just not as big a deal here from the masses. The community of darts is large, and it's fun, and it's great people. So Tanner's throwing out his predictions. My predictions for Whitlock went down, was cheering for him, and Dave, and both lost. So Tanner, so since you were rooting for the two of them and they lost, who are you rooting for today so that I can put my money on the other person if I decide to throw a bet in? That way, that'll even my odds out or make them better. So if you could throw down who you think's going to win, I have Gerwin winning this, but it's going to go the distance in my mind. So let's talk soft tip a little. I'm going to share a screen with you guys just to I want to talk about a couple of areas or places if you play soft tip, if you've got a soft tip board and you want to get into some tournaments, because there are some tournaments for soft tip happening. Again, I will say most stuff is East Coast, Midwest, East Coast when it comes to soft tip. I don't see it as much out here. I wish it was bigger out here. I would probably I'd probably split my time between steel tip and soft tip as far as tournaments go. But there are online options now. So let's look at this. All right, so we got a commitment from Lucas. Lucas, DM me, send me a DM today, and we'll schedule it in the show. Apparently, mornings doesn't scare you off, so let's do that. And what's Tanner got here? Tanner thinks Price will win, but would be cool to see the underdog win. Yes, I'd like to see the debutante that was basically an alternate win. And Tanner, since you're doing that, I just flipped my thing. I think Derek's going to win. Sorry, Tanner, had to do that one. I think Derek's going to win. We'll put my money there. Anyway, let's dive into some soft tip stuff. Let me share my screen here, and we'll talk a little bit about some of the options that are out there. So this is, make sure I'm on the home page. I am. So this is the ADA. This is an association. They both do steel tip and electronic soft tip, as they put in here. So they have options for play for both steel tip and soft tip, and they are getting back to actually playing again this year. Everything pretty much shut down, and a lot of the soft tip stuff shut down. The bull shooter, which again, huge East Coast push for bull shooter, Northeast. They're out of Canada, if I'm correct. Arachnid are the boards that they use primarily. So the bull shooter, I'm just talking about that real quick. I don't have them up on the screen, but bull shooter, again, a really nice organization and huge organization in soft tip, but I believe they just shut everything down for this year due to the COVID situation. I haven't seen anything from them, and normally there's a good amount of marketing and stuff for bull shooter. So if you're out there and you're looking for soft tip, that's a good place to go to. Hopefully they'll be back next year. And here's one of the big things when it comes to soft tip and steel tip, where the battles happen. In steel tip, predominantly, it doesn't have to be this way, but predominantly the game is an 0-1 game, 0-1 game, typically 5-0-1. There is some cricket that's played steel tip, but predominantly that's what you're dealing with, the 0-1 games. And it's a double out situation. In soft tip, even in 0-1 games, it's not a double out. In most cases, there are some tournaments where they will require a double out, but it's not the typical. The norm is you're just shooting 5-0-1, so you can go out on a 1 essentially. So there's you have that opportunity to use the entire board at all times, even for your outs. So sorry, I jumped into the comments again here real quick. So Jarek, my fellow countryman, is going to win. Okay, I had to give you that one because it's your. So some of the things that are coming in are in regards to boards and cost of boards. But that's really the big difference in the game. Sorry, I got a little off there. Is steel tip typically you're going to it's an 0-1 situation and you're using the double as an out. So the counting is different. You're counting in your head to try and get to a double out. In soft tip, you don't have to worry about that. You're just counting down. You're trying to get out and you get to use the whole board. So those are some of the bigger differences as far as segments being bigger on the soft tip and you step back a little bit further in soft tip. None of that means much to me in all respects. You're still throwing in the same area. The tips are a little bit bigger in soft tip than steel tip. So space, that to me, that doesn't play as far as being any reason or any like steel tippers can't be like, oh, we shoot at a smaller segment. Yeah, blow chunks, man. Everybody's, the board's the board. I think the big difference is just the counting perspective. So that's the big difference. Does it make it better one way or the other? Absolutely not. It's slightly different. That's all. The other big thing that comes into play is the cost of boards. And of course, Tanner brings this up. A normal board is $80, which I have to buy every 4 months. So it does come to the same over a year, but it's not such a big money hit at once. So what Tanner's referring to is a soft tip board, which we need to get you a sponsor on that, buddy. One of your sponsors needs to help provide for boards. But a soft tip board typically runs $60 to $80, no, you shouldn't really have shipping. If you're buying from A to Z darts, if you're buying a dart board and something, you should go over their threshold and get free shipping. But a really nice shot board, and I am going to bring Shot up because I totally forgot to mention my sponsors at the beginning of the show. Don't forget to check out Shot Darts at shotdarts.com. And of course, Magicwear for all of your jersey needs. Yeah, I kind of blew that one. Hey, look, we'll throw this in there too. Good. Give my sponsors a little love. Don't forget to check them out. They do sponsor the show. And I'm supposed to be giving away some stuff today, and I've just been rambling. It's been fun. So we will give away some stuff. I'm going to give away some A to Z gift cards is what I'm going to do. Here's you guys that are watching. Okay. Put in the comments who you think is going to win today. And I will take those that actually pick the winner, whether it's Gerwin Price or Derek Van de Booten. I think, whatever. I'm going to butcher that to every day. But put in who you think is going to win. And I will pull names out of that, and you're going to have an opportunity to win a gift certificate from A to Z Darts. And I'll throw in some other cool stuff from my side of the fence. So just put that in there. Will Stewart put in Price. We all know that Tanner thinks Price is going to win, but you guys drop that in there. And based on who wins, you're going to get an opportunity to win some cool stuff. So I'll do that. So Lucas thinks the Iceman will at least one stupid moment. Okay. So back to soft tip here. So we've looked here. This is the ADA. Again, board costs. So yes, in a steel tip, again, shot, I would get a Shot Bandit. We got some noise in the garage right now. I said that the water wouldn't create noise. Well, we have jugs of water in case we run out of water. So they're opening the box to get a jug of water. So Mrs. Atomic strikes again. The steel tip boards, again, the Shot Bandit Duro, which is my favorite. And that's really a climate issue. The Duro and the Bandit. And when we talk about, there's tighter weaving in the sessile, it really has to do with climates. So just something to keep in mind when shopping. But the shot boards, in my opinion, are the best board out there. They receive the points far better than the Winmores and the other boards that I've tested and played with. Just that's my opinion, whether or not they sponsor the show or not. I've been using that board a lot longer than they've been sponsoring anything. But again, there's a cost, and you're going to go through, depending on how much you play, a board. I have a grand board original, which is in Dylan's room, which gets pounded on regularly. I've had that for years, and it still functions and works. Okay. I had the Grand Board 2, which is what I play on predominantly with Dylan when I play the Grand Board, and I've had that for close to 2 years now, and no major issues with it. No segments have gone out. Nothing has broken to date. And then I just got the Nexus. Now, cost on these things is a few $100s. No joke. There's a cost for these boards, but they do last for quite a while. So Tanner's right. In the scheme of things, it's an upfront cost, but in a year's worth of time buying steel tip, you're basically getting the same amount. The other cool thing about soft tip, at least until Dart Connect came along and has, they added the video component, which is super awesome. So they've got the video component now, but up until that particular piece that came out this last week, that was an option that you had with them, especially with the Nexus. It had a camera in it. It allowed you to be seen and play, and it counts. It allows you to play games. It allows you to connect with people all across the world and play and have that camera piece, especially on the Grand Board as well. It has a lot of cool games on it. It's got cool graphics that you can put up on a tablet or feed it over to a TV. And it allows you to play other people. They also were, there's Grand Board tournaments that you can be in. There's Nexus tournaments you can be in. So there's a huge value to the soft tip component, or at least with these boards, the additional pieces to them. Now we're seeing this in steel tip come around with Dart Connect, where these components are being added. There's Dart Counter, which Target just purchased, and they've got some cool games. So we're seeing these aspects come into steel tip. There is a steel tip board that I should have bought earlier when A to Z had them in, and that is the Prodigy board. It actually counts your steel tip just like a soft tip would, and you can use any dart board or any dart. You have to use their dart board, but you can use any dart. If you remember, it was Unicorn that came out with a system. You had to use their darts, though, which was the biggest downside, is you had to use their darts, which had weird weighting, but it would count for steel tip. This Prodigy, which is about $1,000, the ring light has a bunch of sensors in it, and the board has some sensors in it, and it can tell you what your numbers are via steel tip, and you can play any dart. But that's like $1,000. So yeah, exactly. That's laziness. You're buying laziness. Unicorn. Andy says Unicorn. I'm pretty sure it was Unicorn that had that particular Unicorn. Yeah, they're a darts manufacturer. They've been around for a little while. But they had a dartboard out like 2 years ago where, it was really not for the darts player. It was for the person that just wanted to have fun at darts. Cost your left kidney. They're not that bad. Do I have some here right here that aren't? Oh, no, those were 180s. These weren't too bad. I need to review these. These are the Adam Hunts. These weren't too costly from Unicorn. But anyway, $1,000. Yeah, 100. Yeah, 1,700 Canadian. Yeah, I was trying to get one. I actually called them and I was trying to get one. They were going to try and wholesale one to me, but it was still like $600-700. I was like, no. I was trying to talk them into just sending me one so I could review it. Didn't happen. Didn't work. Let's get back into a little bit of soft tip here. I showed you the ADA, and we're getting close on time here. But let's go back to this real quick. We'll do it this way. So this is, again, the ADA, and they have some tournaments. Let's see, upcoming events. I'll show you guys this. You can join this. I think it's like $20 to become a member, and you can get pro status with them. You have to play for a year and be consistent, and you can get pro status. But they do have a tournament coming up in October, and these are all regional tournaments. So this is in Fayetteville. There's one October 31st. This is the breast cancer fundraising tournament. This is in St. Louis, Missouri. Yes, I call it Missouri. My mom lives in Farmington, Missouri. And whenever I talk to her and she's like, it's raining, it's snowing, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, it's 70 degrees here in California. And then she reminds me what her mortgage is. Yeah. And it's like a car payment. And I go, oh yeah, my mortgage. Yeah, never mind. So I don't know who lives in more misery, her or me. She certainly can have more fun than I can. But there's some stuff coming up in November. So they have different ranking tournaments, but they do steel tip and soft tip. So you get both of these. You need to check to see if it's a soft tip tournament or not. This is a great association that you can become a member of, especially if you're looking to get into the whole, playing other people and getting into this, and you want that competitiveness. This is a great association to jump into. But this one, the NDA, or the AMOA, National Darting Association, NDA, this is another great association, but this is soft tip. Okay. This is a soft tip group. Definitely worth, if you're into soft tip, joining. You can find a league. There's again, from an East Coast standpoint, there's not or West Coast standpoint, not a huge amount, which is saddening for me. Be interesting. Maybe I could quit doing this and then I can create a league and put my time into that. Not going to happen. But this is a pretty cool thing. But the really neat thing is they have these remote tournaments. Okay, so you can get your membership, you can join these remote tournaments, and you can get paid. So you can stay home, get paid to play darts. So this is how if the spouse is kind of like, nah, you'd be like, babe, it's like my second job. It's my side gig, my side hustle is to win money playing darts at home. Like, I don't even have to go anywhere, babe. I need a grand board. I need a Nexus. I've got to have this. You can sell it that way. I wonder if you could write it off. Check with your accountant. You might be able to write off dart stuff. Tanner, you certainly should do that. So you can win some money, and it's the fourth Saturday of every month. They've got some past winners and just different things here that, and it's a remote league. You get to play. So you got double teams. There's 501, cricket 501, double elimination. So you've got some cool, fun stuff to do. Here's some remote winners. So get yourself a partner and play some darts and win a couple bucks. At least it'll pay for whatever you're drinking that day, if you win, that is. But this is another situation or another place you can go from soft tip. And if you go online to Facebook, there's Soft Tip Central USA. They're running some tournaments now. Their Grand Board is running some tournaments. So there's stuff out there. I know there's a Halloween tournament coming up for Grand Board, and I think Soft Tip USA is running that. But there are options out there for soft tip. I recommend that all darts players do both. Just my recommendation. Play a little bit of both, understand the game of both, and enjoy it. And if you're newer to darts, like playing Dylan, the beauty of playing my son when it comes to all of this is the fact that, like, when we play the soft tip, he can beat me because he's not shooting a double out. I may be going for double outs because for me, it makes it a little bit harder. So it gives him an edge. And at the same time, it helps me practice throwing at those doubles for when I'm playing steel tip with my league, which is a steel tip league. So I use it for both perspectives. And it's fun to play steel tip or to play soft tip. I'm sorry. It's fun to play steel tip too, but I like the cricket. I like being able to play against the computer. Now, I will say with the new Dart Connect, there are some cool functionalities like that with the camera and so forth. So it's interesting to see how that will play out with tournaments and other things that will be available coming up. Maybe we'll get Will back on the line one day here soon, Will Stewart, and we'll get Matt back on the line as well, and we can talk more about how this functionality could benefit what's going on in the remote world of steel tip. Well, guys, that's it for today. Again, look forward to Wednesday. We're going to be talking Condor darts. We're going to be talking Trinidad darts. Tony is going to be here from Condor Darts. He is a representative here in North America. We're going to talk about the original Condor flight shaft system and, of course, the axe system, some of the differences. We're going to talk about some of the players that are using the product, the creation of the whole idea of a stem flight combination, what the deal is, what are some of the benefits in regards to that particular system. Again, if you've been watching the PDC this past week, you've seen the likes of Kim Hybricks, Devin Peterson, who won a week ago. And then, of course, he had a decent run in this tournament, and a couple other players that are using this system and having some success with it. So definitely stick around. That's going to be Wednesday morning, 7:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. We're going to have some of our friends. I believe Lucas is going to hit me up, and we'll get Lucas on the line maybe later this week. I got to look at my calendar and see who else is in there, but maybe for sure next week. And then we're going to get one of the guys from Loxley. I've been emailing with them about setting that up. They're over on the East Coast. And then Niels and I have been chatting, so we try and get that done. So we've got a lot of fun stuff coming up. And look for this show to have a tweak starting, I believe, next week. I've got to do a little bit more work on it. On Tuesdays, we're going to talk more sports-oriented. It's kind of new style is the hope. Because one of the things I didn't talk about at all this time was the championship darts circuit and what they've got going on. And, of course, check that stuff out. Go out over to USA Darts Productions, USA Darts on Facebook, and Championship Darts Circuit on Facebook, and see there's some really cool tournaments coming up. And we got the ladies coming to the PDC in a week, where that's going to be some fun and excitement, where it's going to be the ladies competing. I think it's the first time the PDC's ever had a tournament that was specifically a ladies tournament. So an inaugural ladies tournament, and this is going to get them the opportunity to get over to the World Championship coming up in just a month or so. All right, guys, thanks for hanging in. Thanks for spending some time with me and talking a little bit about today's final, and then talking a little bit about soft tip. Again, we will touch more on soft tip as we get going forward. We're going to have a soft tip segment. Right now, there's just no major tournaments happening in the soft tip world. Hopefully that will change here soon, and we'll see some of that. It is a fun, exciting game. It's a high-scoring, high-power game because of the opportunity to use the entire board at all given times. And the bullseye's bigger, which is super awesome, and that's a lot of fun with that as well. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging in. I will see you guys Wednesday morning. I'll see you in the social medias between now and then, and I'll be watching alongside you as we watch the finals today. Again, drop in the comments who you think is going to win. Afternoon, Austie TV. But guys, drop it in there. I only got a couple names in there. And we'll see who wins a gift card and some other Chotsky stuff from me. And then this week, I will be doing some other cool giveaways. So keep your eyes out for some giveaways. I have a gift certificate that Magicwear has gifted to me to give away, so that you can get, I think it's $50 off on a jersey. So you can get a custom jersey, or you can just get a jersey and you get $50 off. So Ostie's jumping in here, and he's got a couple comments there. Hey, Ostie, I'm getting ready to end the show. Sorry, man, but you think Price is going to win it. So Ostie's got Price to win it. Hey, Ben, have a good one. Yes, the final is going to be awesome. It's going to be a blast. Chris, thank you. Thank you for liking the show. All right, guys, I got to head out. I unfortunately, like everybody else, got to get to the JOB and make that happen. So thanks again. I'll see you guys Wednesday. And again, I'll be watching alongside you guys today. Have a good one. Thanks for watching.